Good morning, everyone. I'm Senator Bill Brady, and I'm today joined by my colleagues to talk about the future of Illinois. As you all are aware, yesterday, Speaker Madigan once again tried to passed out of committee a short-sighted plan, what he calls a stopgap budget. We're here today collectively to support a long-term solution for the people of Illinois. A solution that includes property tax freezes, spending reforms and caps, job creation, term limits, fair maps, and pension reform. All things that we in the Senate, and I know my colleagues in the House have been working on over the last year or two. These are the solutions that Illinois needs. We need a comprehensive plan, a plan that will work for the people of Illinois and put this state back on its feet. I'm joined today by my colleagues, and I'd ask each of three of them to give their comments, and then we'd be happy to respond to any questions you have. And right now, I'd like to ask Representative Demmer to come to the microphone.
Hi, good morning. I'm Tom Demmer, State Representative from the 90th District. What we saw yesterday in the House shouldn't be surprising to anybody. It's the same thing we've seen year after year from Speaker Madigan and the Democrats. Democrats negotiate with themselves behind closed doors and then act surprised when Republicans oppose the plan that was just made available to us just hours before the vote. I can't tell you how disappointing this is. House Republicans have been firm throughout this entire year and in previous years that we're willing to sit down and negotiate with Democrats to make a reasonable, balanced, comprehensive, bipartisan budget. House Democrats are content with the status quo, it seems, as they continue to hop from one stopgap to the next. And this is a little disconcerting given that we're in the first week of April right now. We have plenty of time in our legislative session to continue working on a full comprehensive budget. It seems very early to go to a stopgap yet again. And it also puts providers and puts those people who rely on state services and state funding in a perpetual state of crisis, not knowing how much money will be appropriated, when the next stopgap will come, and what the process looks like going forward. We still have time to sit down and work together. That's what we should do. That's what my Republican colleagues and I are joined together to say we're willing to do. So far, those calls for bipartisan negotiation have been met with silence. We're here today to renew those calls, and I think you'll see a united Republican front around the idea that we can have a comprehensive, bipartisan, negotiated, balanced budget. Here with further comments is Senator Karen McConaughey.
Thank you, Representative. You know, I think what we all share here is a frustration that a comprehensive solution that we can give to the people of Illinois to get this state back on track continues to elude us. And so, you know, trying to boil it down to simple talking points. These are the things that the people of Illinois talk about that are important to them. Take the one right off the top, freezing property taxes. We have some of the highest property taxes in this state in the entire country. And we talk all the time about our businesses leaving the state, about residents leaving the state. That's one of the biggest contributing factors. We're taxing people out of their homes. First-time buyers, retirees, individuals who have made a commitment to this state that see that the lack of job creation, the overtaxation, the inability for this state to get back on track is what is preventing people from making a long-term commitment to stay in this state, to raise their kids here, to keep their grandkids here. That's what all of us hear every single day when we're out in our communities. It's not just in Republican districts. This is all across the state. Each of these items that we have identified illustrate the frustration, not just of us, but the frustration of the entire state. And I'm going to turn it over to Representative Bellock.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Patty Bellock, and I'm the state representative from the 47th District. And I just want to echo the comments that my colleagues have made this morning and express how disappointed I was yesterday to have had the stopgap budget come up so fast without any preparation on our part. We all agree that the human service providers, the students, the universities are all looking forward to the money that they need and that we addressed last year in the stopgap budget. But last year, we all embraced the stopgap budget together. We worked in a bipartisan fashion. We all worked and said what we needed, what we didn't need, and how we could move forward in helping the people, the providers, the people that need those services, and keeping our state universities open, which is the main thing that we want to do. What Representative McConaughey talked about is certainty and uncertainty. And that is one of the problems that just having a stopgap budget this year rolls that over then into the rest of the people throughout the state of Illinois, including businesses that are thinking of coming here, our healthcare facilities, our universities, our professors in those universities saying, what is going on with the state of Illinois? What are they doing? Are they going to have a budget this year? Moving into 2018? Are they going to just move into another year without a budget? That uncertainty controls our fiscal footing in the state of Illinois and getting our state back to a growing economy. And that's why today this is such an important issue. We know the path we need to move forward. The Republicans have been very clear about that. This shows us the points that we have been very clear about. Over the last 6 months, we have talked about these points. There's individual bills on these points. You've seen movement in the Senate on these points, and we are looking forward to working in a bipartisan fashion with the Democrats to move forward into a real budget this year so we can address, after the $800 million, that yes is a good cause for the human services and the universities, but we have $14 billion of unpaid bills right now. And what do we say to the other people that are owed those bills that we need to address this year in a real budget for the state of Illinois? Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'd be happy to respond to any questions, either of individual members or.
So you say you're willing to work with the Democrats, but they're the do-nothing Democrats at the same time? How do you reconcile that?
Well,
And with respect, you're going to remain in the minority party until 2019 at the earliest, so does Illinois just not get a budget until then?
you know, I think one of the things that is perplexing to me is last week, two of my Democratic colleagues professed that they didn't believe that the Democrats would give Governor Ronner a budget in his entire career. And this is the play out of that with the stopgap budget. Illinois needs a real solution. The playing of politics. I will say this, and then I'll let one of my colleagues also answer your question. I will say this. Senator Colleton gets the fact that we need job creation. In the negotiations that we've had with Senator Colleton over the year, he gets the fact that we need business reforms to create jobs as part of the solution. I can't say the same thing about Speaker Madigan. He has been, I'll call it numb or do nothing on the issues that are concerning to the people of Illinois. Would anyone else like to?
Well, I'll make a comment. Last year, as part of the budgeteer of our caucus, we worked together on a framework for a regular budget also. And when that went to the leaders, it did go to all the leaders and then was not cleared by the leaders. We took it upon ourselves, the Democrats and the Republicans. It wasn't just one person that thought up the stopgap. It was all of us together that thought of that. And so we were all together last year on that. But we did that to pay out the universities, pay out the human services. But that was not a plan that was to go forward in the next year. The plan was do the stopgap, come back, and do a regular, full-blown budget for this year. And that's what we need to do. Again, the entire state of Illinois, their financial responsibilities rely on having a full budget.
These points that you have up there, they sound a lot like what the governor said on the video yesterday and has been saying to groups around the state. Is he on board with this? Are you all representing him here?
We're here today collectively representing the two Republican caucuses. I can't imagine the governor wouldn't be in support of these things because these are what the people of Illinois are crying for.
Does he know you're doing it? Did you check with his staff on this?
I assume he follows the press
But
room.
Did you, I mean, you've been close to his office lately, haven't you? Did you communicate with them about this?
I think I told him we were coming down for a press conference. Thanks.
So on Tuesday, I think it was, Senators McCarter and McConkey, they were here and they presented their own plan that they said a lot of people are on board with. They didn't want to name names, but they said a lot of people are on board with their plan to have no new revenue at all and make a lot of drastic cuts. Do you share that view that,
Well,
we should make lots of drastic cuts and just not have any new revenue and that's just the way it is?
The reality, I think, is that both assemblies are controlled by the Democrats, and that to balance a budget based solely on cuts with Democratic control of the General Assembly is not likely. I believe that what Senator McCarter-McConkey presented is a realistic view of what a cuts budget would look like, and I compliment them for making the tough decisions to put that out. last week I presented a budget that had a mixture of cuts. I think the people of Illinois are demanding government reforms that would reduce the size of spending. And the budget I presented was a budget that was about a 50-50 proposition. About half of the balancing was due to cuts and half was based on revenue, short-term revenue that we need. So there are several mixes, but I think the reality is we realize that the Democrats control the General Assembly, and there needs to be, under their control, both cuts and there needs to be some revenues, but a stopgap's not the solution.
Talked with a House Democrat earlier this morning, and he had mentioned that they want to get this done, the stopgap, before the spring break. Can you guys address that? Is this something that ultimately needs to happen before going back home to the districts?
I think what we need to be focused on is passing a comprehensive balanced budget that gives predictability for more than just a couple of months. When we've reviewed this proposal, the stopgap proposal, over the last not even 24 hours, we've already had some questions about why certain dollar amounts were appropriated to different agencies and organizations. We're not sure how long it'll last. That's, I think, part of the problem that these agencies have dealt with, is that when you're given only the opportunity for a stopgap or a lifeline, you struggle to figure out how that's going to provide any kind of predictability for you in months going forward. We're committed to using every legislative day that we have available to us to providing a comprehensive balanced budget that gives predictability to every state organization, to every organization that receives grants or funding from the state of Illinois. They need to know that they have a lifeline beyond just the very immediate future. Kicking the can down the road by hopping from one stopgap to the next does not accomplish that, and it may actually make it more difficult for us to come to a budget negotiation later.
Representative, sticking on that same subject, do you think, looking down the road, that this is just going to keep happening until 2019? And in fact, with your exchange with Representative Harris yesterday, you said, quote, you said that we wouldn't have a budget till 2019. Are you still sticking with that this is just going to keep happening until something changes, either in the governor's office, with the Democratic caucus, with your guys' caucus? Where do we go?
We'll look at the difference in approach between Republicans and Democrats in the Capitol. Republicans, we're standing here together, united today, to say that we're willing to negotiate a comprehensive, balanced budget. On the Democratic side, you've heard several people say, I don't think we'll have a budget till 2019. We don't think that's an acceptable approach. We don't think that's a feasible approach. And so to continue to change stopgap after stopgap is not a way to get us through 2019. We need a budget. We're here today to negotiate that, and we're all willing to do that.
Senator Brady, if I could ask, I think it's more than 20 years ago that you beat Gordon Rout by about 8 votes to get in the legislature. Why have term limits on this, and what do term limits do for a budget? And are they really useful to someone who's been in the legislature more than 20 years? Is an experience.
Term limits are, I think, a progressive way in bringing fresh ideas into states that have them. We certainly have a poster child for term limits, and that's Mike Madigan. Yes, I've been here about 20 years, served 8 years in the House and then in the Senate. And I believe firmly, and I have supported term limits throughout my career, particularly when it comes to leaders. And what I'll say is that we need a balanced budget, but we also need a program that includes these things. And let me just say, it's not just Republicans who are here supporting this. John Colleton has supported freezing property taxes. John Colleton has supported spending caps. John Colleton has supported job-creating reforms, term limits, and pension reforms. Yes, he has. And he needs to go further, and we'll keep working on that. But we need a balanced budget. A stopgap budget is not the solution, and that budget needs to incorporate this. And it's not just Republicans, although we're united. It is also Democrats who understand we need this. Thank you very much.
Is Leader Redonio part of this, and was she invited to this press conference here?
This was put together by the 12 of us. Leader Redonio supports what we're talking about. Thank you.